Issue number one is the jury verdict says that Roddy Bryan was not a party to the shooting, nor a shooter. Roddy did not kill Mr. Arbery. He did not attempt to kill Mr. Arbery. He did not intend to kill Mr. Arbery. He had no idea that the McMichaels had guns until moments before the shooting. And that's not just an opinion. That's pretty much a jury verdict. When they acquitted Mr. Bryan, not only of count one, but also count two and count six, when they found him not guilty of anything related to the shooting, that's a reflection of the fact that Mr. Bryan had no idea of what was about to happen. That tragedy was certainly not something that he could have anticipated up until the moments before. And by saying that, I'm not trying to get back into the charge conference issues. It's a different factor here at sentencing. But Roddy Bryan was not a vigilante. He was not a party to any organized effort to fight crime in Satilla Shores. Roddy Bryan really had no idea what was going on or why until after the tragic death of Mr. Arbery. And I think the state pretty forcefully drove that issue home during its closing argument in this case. That factor really puts Mr. Bryan in a different position. Mr. Bryan isn't the one who brought a gun. He was unarmed. And I think that reflects his intentions and it reflects a significantly lesser state of culpability. The second issue, Your Honor, is the issue of remorse. Now, like the McMichael defendants, Mr. Bryan faces a federal trial and substantial federal penalties in the event of a conviction. I would agree with Mr. Rubin that no competent attorney in the state of Georgia under these circumstances would allow a defendant to say anything more than they already have. But in this case, distinguishing again Mr. Bryan from the McMichael defendants, Mr. Bryan has expressed remorse. Whether it's part of the record or not, he expressed remorse about Mr. Arbery's death even before he was arrested on national television. As the Arbery family, of course, has not accepted that, and they don't have to, Your Honor, and we could all understand why. But beyond that, when you look at his statements in this case, I think it is readily clear that while Mr. Bryan has disputed and continues to dispute whether things that he did that day constituted crimes, he has never questioned the tragedy of this death and has never expressed anything but remorse over the death of Mr. Arbery. And that does put him in a very different category, I would submit, and a very different posture from the other defendants.
Very clear, Kevin Goff is trying to separate